Hi, I'm Noelle Runo, Head of International Marketing and Communications at Making Science, and welcome back to another episode of Making Sense Of. In today's episode, we'll be making sense of AI-powered creators. And with me today, I have Constanza Ghelfi, our CPO at Making Science, and welcome back, Matz Lukmani, Product Lead at Hill. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Noelle. I'm very excited to be here again, and most of all because I'm here with Matz.
Same here, yeah. Nice to be back here. It's been almost a year.
It's been almost a year, and it's not your birthday this time.
It's not my birthday this time, and my hair has grown up a little bit as well, so that's good.
Yeah, so it's been almost a year since you were here. So what has changed in the past year for you, Matz?
A lot has changed, other than the hair growing up and me making sure I'm not doing a podcast on my birthday.
Yeah.
The last time I was here, I was working on campaign types like performance max and demand gen campaigns. These were the cutting edge campaign types that we've invested in and we've seen good traction. And we're at a point where a lot of our advertisers are using it and we're building it further. And there are new trends emerging in terms of creatives and how you can drive better activation through your campaigns. And that's the area that I'm leaning into. I'll maybe start with a stat. This was published by CreativeX in the year 2023. And based on the study they did across all the ad creatives, they noticed around 70% of ads, that's about $1 billion of ads, were under-optimized. And they were not even designed for the right platform that they were serving on. So there's a massive opportunity for us to build better ad creatives and make these ads count. And that's my focus area now. So I'll focus specifically on YouTube creatives and how you can bring better creatives when you're driving your ad. And if you really think about it, right, think about the amount of time we spend as marketer on the branding and where to run this media, how much time do we actually spend about building the right creators and questioning if these are the right creatives and asking yourself the question, are these creators doing the right thing for the business? And that's going to be my focus area this year.
Well, that's also why we're here today, to talk about how AI-powered creatives can really help you. So let's kick off then, shall we? So, as we said, there's been a lot of talk about creatives, the scale and the variety of creators recently and how we fit into every sort of platform, what sort of formats do we use with the new regulations and everything going ahead. But why do good creatives really matter?
Cool. All right. Why does it matter? I think just kicking it off, we've seen over and over again with all the studies ever published that creatives are the number one driver of ROI. There was a study published by Nielsen many years ago, which still stays consistent, showing 49% of the impact of a campaign ROI comes from creatives. It's far more than the media you run, the branding you have. So it's critical to do that. I also bought some more stats. So we've been working with Ecometrics and we've published a pretty comprehensive analysis. And this publication went out in August of this year. And the summary of it was that creatives can have a 1.7x impact on your campaign ROI. So if you do it right, it drives really good results. We looked across EMEA and we analyzed around 778 videos for 9 brands across 3 different verticals. And the idea of the study was to go deep into 73 different elements, principles of creatives. Do you have humor? Do you have voiceover? Do you have a strong call to action? And see if the presence of those elements led to better effectiveness in ads. And there were 3 big learnings we got from this. The first one was, as I mentioned, creatives have a massive impact. It drove 1.7x of a lift when you actually do the right thing in terms of your creatives and improve your efficiency levels from a poor to an optimal level. So that's the way they were grading it over. Additionally, they saw there's a high saturation of impact within 13 of the principles out of the 73 that were analyzed. So if you do these 13 things right, it has an 80% impact on your total performance. So if you're an advertiser, doing few things correctly is super critical, and the study publishes all of that. And then we kind of kept going further, looking into European businesses. We noticed up to 15% of ads served, at least in that study, had optimal creatives. So if you think about it, the reverse of it, that percent of advertisers didn't even have the right creatives running, and they were below the optimal level. So the massive opportunity to do better.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, I believe that the need for these good creatives is even amplified in the recent times. I see that we have assisted to a change in the user behavior. There's much more consumption now of short-form videos, of UGC. So this is bringing into the spotlight even more all the creator challenges, the user-generated content, the shorts from YouTube, in example. And I think that brands are already acknowledging it. Yeah. So they know and they are using creatives as ROI drivers, and platforms such as Google, but as well Meta and TikTok are using it as ROI drivers as well, right?
Yeah, massive big plus one. So two things. One, there is a major evolution in the way ads are now surfaced across devices. So think about multi-surfaces, think about organic surfaces that you were getting your content on. They're all really multimodal at this point in time. So if you're building creative, you need to be relevant across all. Think about CTVs, in feeds, in apps. And then more importantly, the quality of creatives can be heavily influenced and improved using Gen AI models, LLM models, etc. So these two tendencies or new trends can have a major impact on what you can deliver as creatives in your ads.
Yeah. So we've talked about the quality of the creatives, and I think that's a very key point, because with the generative AI, we have assisted to a democratization of creative. So now creative is accessible to everyone, and this democratization is empowering, is exciting, of course, but it also comes with a downside, that is the temptation from companies to substitute their creative teams with just some prompting. And I mean, we all agree that generative AI is the big enabler when we talk about creatives, and using it just to save money, I think it's a very short-term, limited vision. And I think that the users feel it. So if your consumer feels it, that you are using it just to save money, also your ROIs feel it.
Yeah.
And I think that the companies that are getting the better results from the use of generative AI in their creatives are those companies that are using it to explore new creative concepts, to reach new levels of ad personalization or creative personalization. And I mean, now that we virtually have no limits anymore on giving shape to our ideas, now is when we need those creative minds more than ever. I always say, and I'm very repetitive, that the real differentiator, what makes the difference, is the mind behind the prompt, is not the model itself. So I think we have to focus a lot on how we amplify or how we augment our capabilities and our creative team's capabilities thanks to generative AI. And this is not just about branding. So for all the performance folks out there, this affects directly performance, and a lot, because if you have a creative that directly engages with the right audience, it means that your campaign will learn much faster and will convert much better. So we cannot forget that creative are not just for users, are for algorithms as well. So getting the right creative also means getting your algorithms learn faster, and that means more results. So better creatives, better results.
Yep, and feed the engine.
Yeah,
more creative, now using AI. Yep.
Yeah. So exactly. So we've spoken about what good creatives look like, but what are the components of a good creative execution in a Google ecosystem specifically?
Okay, I can maybe start with Google ecosystem, but I would say this applies to really any advertising you're running. We'll break it down in two simple steps. Step one is show up with the right assets. Have a wide variety of assets in your campaign so you can surf them on every surfaces, every orientation, every notation. Think about duration types. So there are 6-second bumper ads. There are slightly longer notation ads. There are 3-minute long ads on certain surfaces. So make sure you have a wide variety of assets hitting all the surfaces. We have a rule of 3. We call the thumb rule of 3, which is have three orientation of your ads assets, whether it's horizontal, vertical, and square on all of your campaign types that you're running. So if you're running brand campaigns, reach campaigns, or performance campaigns, just make sure they're there. If you're running performance campaigns, especially like demand gen, you're going beyond just the videos, and same thing applies with PMax, going beyond just videos. So have those three orientation of image assets, so horizontal, square, and vertical, and then have at least 3x variations of your headlines and descriptions. So as you mentioned earlier, of course, feed the engine with the right amount of inputs, and this is the bare minimum you can do to get the engine running. So that's step one. Step two is make your ads count. And how do you do that is by being very rigorous about what is good quality assets, diving deep into it, questioning yourself, are these assets as good as they can be, and testing them, so running A/B tests. And we have a framework that we had built many years ago, and it's still as golden as it is. It's called the ABCD framework. If you've never heard about it, reach out to any one of us, or reach out to your Google rep or your agencies, and they will talk at length about it. But that is the framework that you should be using that helps you build the right ads, grab the attention, make sure your brand is very visible, think about the content and building the connection with the user, and end with a strong direction, like a call to action. If you follow these two-step process, you're in a much better place with building better ads.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and well, I think this ABCD score is non-negotiable. So all brands should start from there. It's the starting point. If you want to get good performing creatives, that's the ABCD. But I think that, and you said that there's a lot of companies that aren't hitting these 4 points. So first step is that one, the ABCD. The next step, I think, is that acknowledging that each brand is unique. So they have their unique voice, their unique language, audiences. So I think they then have to build their own best practices and create their own brand knowledge about how their specific audience interact with the creatives. And of course, at Admachina, we like to help.
Yeah, we've seen some good wins with Admachina and these partnerships with customers.
Yeah, an example, I can remember the Intersport game.
Example.
Yeah, that we did together. Actually, our French team helped Intersport last year during the UEFA, the Euro Cup, to have their demand gen campaigns very relevant. So they targeted the passionate fans about football with very good, high-quality image and video assets that were very relevant to the team, to the French team, with the products, of course, from Intersport that were relevant to that. And they saw very good results, if I'm not wrong, a 16% improvement in ROAS with a 12% improvement in sales as well. So it's clear that there's a huge opportunity in performance by improving and empowering your creatives.
I've seen so many examples, and I love the partnership we have with Making Sciences and all our partners out there.
So one example that comes really close to heart is from one of our top advertisers in Eastern Europe. Have you heard of this brand called Bearskin?
We've seen some videos.
Yeah. So Bearskin's pretty cool. Like, they build these tactical outerwears, and they're heavily in international markets like US. And their big challenge was, can we use VO3 on our Vertex Cloud and figure out a more innovative way to build hook, which is the element A of the ABCD best practice, right? And they came up with some very interesting concepts, and I would love to play a video if you guys have one. Maybe people on the podcast would love to listen to it and check it out later. But these experimentations lead to really good results for them. Experimenting with a new hook where they actually had a bear kind of jump out and talk about the brand resulted in better performance. Like, their CPCs dropped 20% for these ad creatives. Their ROAS jumped up by 37%. Their cost per view was low as well compared to the creatives they were using as an average. So if you do experiment with these creatives and you're using these latest technologies, you will find they're driving good results. And it's just a matter of going into that loop.
Yeah, definitely.
That's really interesting to hear about that example of Bearskins. But of course, how do you work with brands to try and make sure that all creators are optimizing to reach these sort of targets and goals?
Well, of course, the answer is with generative AI. No, but at Machina, we have built a tool that we call Creative Optimizer that analyzes all the creatives from the client from different perspectives. So do they include text? Which kind of text? What's the, it's natural light, artificial light, and so on, hundreds of these visual attributes. And once all the assets are categorized, it calculates a statistical correlation with the KPI, with the performance of the clients, so that the clients can build their own brand guidelines. So they identify what works well for their audiences, and they create this internal knowledge that can be summed up. So it adds up on top of the ABCD, and they can have their own knowledge about how creatives should be for their specific case.
Okay, interesting. So obviously we touched upon the framework of ABCDs, but for all the marketing professionals listening, can you give us a bit more
what that means?
What it means, and why sort of good creatives are needing for this framework to create best practices?
Yeah, okay. So I'll maybe summarize what ABCD is in a nutshell. Definitely like search it online, you'll get tons of information. But it's a simple framework starting with A, attention. Make sure your ads have a strong hook, have an immersive storyline for your users so you connect with them early on. Second is B. B stands for, anyone wants to guess? Branding, yes. Yeah. So make sure your brand is visible. It's available for the users to know what they're all about. Start with it. Keep it richly visible throughout the ad. So you just reinforce your brand message and your brand name. Third is C, connection. You need to build a very tight connection with the user. So think about an emotion, a sentiment, an actual user need that you're trying to solve for, and make it very visible from the top till the end. So you hold their attention. And then the last one is D, direction. Any guesses what that is?
Well, it's telling the user what we expect them to do.
Exactly. That's the most important thing, right? So have a clear direction, end with a good call to action, tell them what they need to do next so they can do that thing next, yeah? And again, the study that I mentioned earlier, we've been looking into aspects of the ABCD to see which aspects have more impact versus less impact. And what we notice is all of these ABCDs, if you're actually following them down to the wire, they positively impact the ROI for your campaigns. We also noticed some interesting trend. For example, branding was the most utilized element, but it had around 60% utilization only. So there were 40% of ads that we looked at. Forgot to mention their brand.
No brand.
Yeah. So if you do mention branding, it's generally better. Yeah. We notice it drives increment of 0.7% of ROI impact. But there are still an opportunity for us to improve and make sure these ads actually have your brand mentioned. The other really cool insight was the most impactful lever was direction, which makes sense, right? You want to have a strong call to action. That had a 1.5% impact on the ROI that we were calculating, but the utilization was low. We noticed only 22% of the ads in the survey actually had a strict and clear call to action. So it's a big call out to marketers. If you're out there, make sure, especially performance campaigns that you're running, have a very clear call to action. Experiment with it, see if you can get it better, because the direction element of your campaign creatives will have the strongest impact on performance. And it's probably the most intuitive thing you can think of, because you're telling them what to do. Yeah. So this is, in a nutshell, what ABCDs is. Now we have tons of claims to go a little deeper, and we saw it over and over again.
Yeah, and I think everything relates very well, right? So the ABCD and what we were talking about previously about how to build your own guidelines to add on top of the ABCD.
So we can't speak about AI powered without speaking about search. AI search has been the hot topic now, and with the launch of AI mode and AI overview, how do you also feel that creators should grow in this space?
Well, I think previously Matz mentioned that the advertisers should care about hitting all the surfaces. This is a new surface for creatives. Search has now become multimodal, so it's not just text anymore. Now it has images, videos, sometimes even audio files. So I think that it's important for the brands to acknowledge this and to prepare their teams with the right structure to build real unified search experiences, meaning that they cannot have any more a siloed approach where their creative team sits on one room, the SEO team on another, and the paid team on, on the other floor. They all have to work together. We talk a lot about tech, but this is actually about people. We have to organize the teams inside the advertisers and agencies so that creative, SEO, paid, they all work together. They build this unified search experience that has to be conversational, is highly personalized. So it requires that new approach, that integrated approach and unified strategy.
Yeah, I think it's critical. Like creatives are critical, and you need to be very aware of how you show up with them. Search is one element, but goes into YouTube, into display, but even extends further. Like if you have a Play Store app, like how are you showing up on the Play Store? If you're an offline business and you have a presence offline, you're running ads to reach people through maps, like how are you showing up there? And make sure your creatives are consistent, your brand is consistent, and it's just going to get more complex with time when experiences become more multimodal in nature. Now, as we started speaking a little bit about search. I can't give advice on organic search, but what I would highly recommend is we've published a SEO starter guide. And if you're in a practice space where you're dabbling between search and YouTube and display, check it out. Understand how these creatives that you're building on your site and your ads are impacting how you get listed on any of the search engines out there. And ideally, that gives you more insights, and that's more update.
That's very, very interesting. I think that all the guys listening to us will be interested in it because it's the new battlefield, right? Yeah. Where everything is still to be written and discovered. So super interesting.
And it's a great opportunity, again, if you're in creatives to like show up with the right messaging, right ads, right content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what can we do then with creative automation in Google Ads today?
Okay, so that's a solid question. There's a bunch of things you can be doing. So let's maybe start. Like there's a lot of our advertisers are using Google Ads to optimize performance. Some of them are using our API solutions. What we've noticed is when you improve your ad quality, and this was again a study done by Kantar, just improving your ad quality from average to advanced or high can increase your performance up to 4x. And we have some advertisers who would love to do that in ads. Some advertisers would love to do it in a more scale fashion. In ads, we have a lot of capabilities already. So I'll start with a few. Like if you're working with images or you're building assets that are for display, you can create new novel images. You can edit your existing images. Think about changing your backgrounds, adding things in the background, changing the color, the combination, the pixels. All of that is now possible with image editing in Google Ads. We already were able to do text-based adaptations using GenAI. So if you have a headline or a description, you can prompt your way into improving your text copies as well. The next big change that is coming is video edits. So imagine you can in the future in Google Ads will be able to create better video ads. A part of it is already inspired using GenAI. So think about launches that we've had on video enhancements, Flip Video, the old Flip Video launch, which allowed us to change the orientation of an ad or of a video to fit the screen. So if you've uploaded horizontal assets and they're serving on a vertical device, we would take the liberty of using our AI-generated algorithms to switch that image. Our aim is to bring more of this in a more controlled fashion through Asset Studio, which we've announced, and we've actually launched in Google Ads. So you'll be able to do a lot of this, like trimming videos, etc. And you should expect more of these features in ads as well. Now, everything we are building in ads, we'll also start experimenting and bringing it in APIs. But there are some cool things that we are doing in this Christmas that you should be leveraging. So
Christmas present.
YouTube Christmas highlights, yeah. So if you're a retailer, we'll be using your product images to generate better assets. So if you're uploading them, great. If you haven't, you can start experimenting with them and you'll see the quality of your ads are improved because we are taking inferences from your product uploads. There are a few other updates we've made. I'll kind of just run through the list. We had a lot of feedback around prompting and having advice on how you can prompt better. So we have prompt assistants built into Google Ads. So if you're like me, who has great ideas but can't put it in words, you'll now have someone who can help you through it in the journey in Google Ads. For a lot of advertisers, that's been useful, but also a lot of them have been trying to do scaled updates. And for that, we've introduced bulk edit options in Google Ads. So in the past, you had to change one image, one asset at a time. You can now change up to 100 assets at a time in one go. So that should help you with the efficiencies, etc. And there are a lot of other enhancements, edit features we want to bring now to demand gen campaigns, so you can build better ad assets and customize existing assets for your campaigns.
Wow, so looking forward for Christmas. A lot of good news. And Matz, we hear a lot talking about Veo 3.1, Imagine for Nano Banana, and all these new very cool stuff that Google is creating from the foundational models point of view. How do all these models relate with what we see on the Google Ads user interface?
Yeah, it's really tough to keep up with all the changes and all the developments. But let me maybe summarize a little bit how we are looking at model generation, model advancements, and how they kind of pipe into our solutions. So from a creative standpoint, I think it's critical to understand it's not a turnkey solution. And as you start utilizing our leading edge AI models, they can power the entire process. But it can be tricky because there's been a lot of models that have been announced and they tap into different areas of Gen AI creatives. So just taking a step back, all our foundational models are built by our Google DeepMind team that does the research and builds out our models to improve the output that you get, whether it's text, visual, or ideation. There are three clear pillars on which the Gen AI models are built. The first one is Veo. So everyone's heard of Veo, and that's the model we use for video generation. It can give you advanced features to edit videos, ingeniously design new videos, come up with new concepts, change the camera settings or the viewing. So it's our latest model when it comes to video generation. The second one is Imagine, and this is the model that's used for image generation, and it can help you create novel images, editing existing images. For example, Nano Banana, that was an update on some of our image generation models, and that'll help you create better imagery, which is slightly static, but still very important. And the third element is the audio element, and that's where we have two models, Chirp and Lyra. The Lyra model helps you create high quality music, and the Chirp model helps you create audio voiceovers on your current assets. All these three models are foundational and they're packaged into our offerings. And our aim is to make sure these models reach all our customers throughout our product stack. So whether you're in Gemini, in the consumer product, building out just some fun ideas, or you're using a Google Ads solution where you're trying to build assets and creatives that you will run in your campaigns, or you're using our APIs to ingest this model into your workflows and build out better creatives, either using our APIs or using our cloud infrastructure as well. So our aim is to bring these models to all our users, but it may happen in certain steps and checks. So you might hear some models are available in one solution, the others are trailing behind. But the intention is they all get to use them.
Wow. And how do you envision all of these innovation to fit into the creative development process?
Yeah, so that's the really critical element. I don't think creatives is just an afterthought, or it's a step in the journey where you're done with the creative briefs, you know what you want to go live with, and then you start thinking about creative. It starts with research and insight. Like we've seen good examples of advertisers using Gemini to help with research. Using LLM notebooks to understand what the business context is, the advertiser context is, and come up with the right creative briefs before you start designing assets. I'll give you another Christmas bonus. We've recently announced something really interesting, and it's live, so you can check it out. A lot of our advertisers wanted to understand what does good look like on YouTube.
Yeah.
So if I'm in Germany or if I'm in UK and I'm in US, and I'm in a certain vertical like technology or retail, what are the top ads that people are seeing on YouTube? So we've published this on a new website called YouTube Best in Ads, and that'll allow you to see in the last 30 days window, like what are the top performing ads based on our ranking in your vertical, in your country. So it'll give you some inspiration of how to, ideate and build something better. That is all just the first step. Hopefully this was good insight. I thought I would drop this in today.
Yeah.
But that's the first step. The second step is like design and creative strategy. And that's where you can use any of the models that we've talked through. So it could be Whisk, it could be Imagine, it could be Flow. But you start building some early storylines and storyboards of what your campaigns should look like. The third step is creative production. That's really when the rubber hits the road. And you can be using our models in Google Ads, through our APIs, through our partners, or just using some basic things like image editing to put these creatives to market. And the last step is optimization and analysis. And you can be using our ads tooling or advanced tooling to test the impact of these assets or do like last mile edits. And a really interesting launch that we've had a few years ago, which is picking up traction, is asset enhancement, which is a simple setting in Google Ads, which allows you to just make sure the assets you've published out there for your campaigns are matching the standards required. And we'll do re-editing, readjusting to make sure they fit in all the surfaces. And if you have questions, again, reach out to your partners. They can explain you what the settings are. But if you think about it, your creative process is 4 steps, and you can use AI in all these steps through different tooling to drive better outcomes.
I have to give credit to Google because, especially after the latest launches, there's no other platforms out there that have such a powerful kit of functionalities from the creative point of view and the generative AI point of view. And actually, our goal at Ad Machina is to take all that power that Google provides to the advertiser also outside of Google Ads, so that you can activate the same creatives on Meta, on TikTok, and even on your own channels or your own website. We believe that brand consistency has an impact as well on performance. So our goal is to guarantee advertiser to have that consistency across all the different touch points. So the user see always the same brand experience, let's say, never mind where it's seeing it, on which channel.
So you've explained a lot. You talked about YouTube ranking, how you can see the best ads, but can you talk about any other brands or customers who have both improved relevance and performance?
Okay, so we've seen tons of good case studies, great results from customers using Gen AI, especially for the creative use cases. Okay, they landed their brand Amigo, which was a first campaign that was start to finish using AI-generated creatives and tooling. And their big challenge was to see how they can redesign the process to make it more efficient and in terms of cost and time. Their assets in general would have a long lead time, so they would take up to 3 to 5 months to take a concept, do the shootouts, and then produce commercials. And in terms of cost, it will cost them anything from 20 to 30 million liras to build great campaigns, these video campaigns. And this became even more tricky with trying to get to market quickly and swiftly. They used simple 3-step process. They used Gemini to build scripts. So they did all the research on what the creative briefs should look like, what the creative should be talking about and including using Gemini. Second, they started building images using Imagine. So think about your storyboard for an ad. They started envisioning what good visuals should they be using if their entire brand is about bringing products from farm to table and highlighting the user journey that their products go through for their agricultural, customer base or the supply chain base. And they used Imagine to build these images. And then the last step was to take some of these images that they highlighted and run them into VO3 to build visuals. And they made striking visuals, all start to finish using AI. That helped them improve their efficiencies down to 90%. So they save time and cost. And that was a really good example of, again, coming from Turkey, which we saw a great result from an advertiser using AI throughout the process. This is a case study that's published on Think with Google. So if you want to learn more about it and go deeper into it, search on Google, go to thinkwithgoogle.com, and you'll be able to get this entire case study.
But speaking about restriction, brand control has been a question for a lot of brands.
Yes, of course.
So what is it's a general concern when implementing AI tools, but how can you make sure that your brand guidelines are being met when implementing these sort of tools we spoke about?
Well, I think the key here is to do not leave AI alone. So when you design your processes, you always have to define some human in the loop steps. And that's key, that's critical. From Ad Machina, we also help on this brand control with some more automation. The first I can think about is synthetic users. If you haven't heard about this definition, synthetic users are like digital clones of your real consumers. So thanks to generative AI, you can train models to replicate how your real users, some of your real users, are thinking. This is a methodology that was built in Stanford University, and they have measured that is extremely reliable, much more than what I would have expected from just building a digital clone. But the reliability, it's 85% if you interview, if you're in a one-to-one interview. So if we are talking just to one synthetic user, but if you build a focus group, so 5 to 6 synthetic users, well, the probability that what the digital or the synthetic focus group, the output is the same as the human focus group, well, the probability is 98%. So it's extremely reliable. And if you apply it to creatives, it means that you can get a real feedback even before launching them, even before spending €1 or £1 on that creative. Well, you will know if your audience relate with it, if it's engaging, and so on. So this is a very interesting point. And the second
rapid SWOT test.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And the other part is more related to brand control, and is our brand guidelines validator. So as well, we use generative AI to analyze your videos, your images, to pinpoint all those AI-generated assets that requires a human validation. So this way you can really scale your creative process, because you don't need to go one by one with a colleague of yours. You have this validator that just tells you what requires a human review.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I can absolutely jump in. Like, it makes so much sense to have human in the loop.
Yeah.
And we've seen good results there as well. For example, the launch of brand guidelines in PMAX has been very well received. Our aim is to keep scaling it to like all campaign types, and there's tons coming down the pipeline.
So I mean, there's a lot of things coming. So if we look into this new era of AI-powered creatives and ads, what can we expect? I know you've already given some Christmas bonuses, but what do you think we can expect?
Yeah, I think maybe just starting with the APIs, because you did mention that earlier. That's an important element for any partner looking into our solutions. Our aim is to build out bigger, better, and smarter APIs. There's been some announcements made around creative API betas. So things you should expect is asset generation. So if you're using our ads API, for example, you'll be able to use asset generation in our APIs.
Wow.
You'll be able to manage creative, so creative management for your VVC and VRC campaigns. So think about your branding campaigns and being able to generate them through our APIs.
It's a game changer.
It will be it's been the top ask. And then additionally, creator insights, performance insights is something you should be able to get again through your API integrations. On the GMP front, so if you have advertisers using our GMP stack, you should expect better upload and traffic features for YouTube auction campaigns. And that's been, again, a big ask. So APIs, I would say, it's an umbrella where we'll invest a lot, and partners like Making Sciences can benefit from that as well.
Yeah. For sure.
Beyond that, I think in ads, we are investing as well. Because a lot of our advertisers are using Google Ads UI and they want better solutions. We've recently announced Asset Studio. I'm not sure if you folks have heard about it.
Oh, of course.
So it's
a lot of excitement about it.
You have in your grave, you're using it. We have a nice sample size here. So if you're one of those advertisers that are in Google Ads and you would love to re-engineer your current assets, Asset Studio will allow you to do that. It's not an additional tool. It's basically part of Google Ads under the tools section, and you'll be able to edit your images. You'll be able to add backgrounds, change colors, use prompting to make these image edits. You'll be able to shorten your videos, add voiceovers, experiment with text variation. So think of it as one-stop shop for all your creative needs. And in the future, the latest launches we are building, the ability to potentially create videos using your images, all of this will be in your Asset Studio setting. There are also some developments with agentic support. So if you're one of our advertisers or using Google Ads and have started seeing this, our aim is to build better agents within Google Ads, so you can have a conversation about billing or setup and potentially creatives and improve the campaigns you're running. So that, I think, would be the big development for next year. Outside Asset Studio, which is our solution within Google Ads, there's a lot of developments in bringing agentic help within Google Ads.
Yeah, well, I can give you a hint of what I see on the market from the ad tech point of view. So what are the tools evolving into? And I see two main trends. The first one is the evolution from reactive to proactive. So right now, in the majority of tools, the users, so the advertisers or the agencies have to play with the selectors and so on and look for the results, for the insights and so on. In 2026, we are going to assist into an evolution driven by agentic AI, where the users of the ad tech tools will not be required anymore to look for the answer. They will automatically receive recommendations and alerts from the agents that will be autonomously analyzing the data and identify what is interesting and what are the opportunities of improvement. So this is the first trend. And the second one, it's, the strong need for integration. Since the income of generative AI, we have seen an explosion of tools on the market. So now CMOs and marketing team have to juggle with a lot of different AI tools and models, and one for each specific functionalities. So it's very difficult to take those AI pilots, let's say, together to make them scale. Actually, we have just recently published a report with a commission survey by Forrester with 269 CMOs from the US companies, and actually 76% of those CMOs said that what is holding them back from scaling AI is not the tech itself. The tech is already there. What's happening is that the different tools don't talk to each other. So there's a huge need for integration, and there's where we are focusing. With Machina, we are trying to cover that gap that there is in the market and to make all the different generative AI models or the different functionalities work together in an orchestrated system, in a full end-to-end flow.
Yeah, I can only agree because, from the survey as well, we saw that 35% of the CMOs were stuck in what we call an AI pilot point, which means that, even though they saw a 95% ROI, they still couldn't scale with the AI.
That's the issue, yeah.
And that was due to the integration, as you mentioned, costs. So it's imperative.
Definitely good concept, but you need to scale quick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But to round off, what are your key takeaways for brands starting to play with AI creatives and get started?
Cool, yeah. I can maybe keep it short. We know this, because we've tested this multiple times over the years, that creatives drive ROI, and investing in them is always going to pay off. So if you're an advertiser and you haven't thought about it too much yet, this is a good time. Start with basic asset variety, like make sure you are showing up on all the surfaces with the right ads. And once you do have a decent variety of assets, think about how do you improve these assets. Ask yourself this question, can they get better? And test your way into number two, building better quality assets. And there are frameworks like ABCDs and others out there that you can leverage, but have a framework that you use to continuously ask yourself this question and improve your assets.
Wow, very good takeaway. The only thing that I can add on top of it is orchestration, what we were just talking about. I think orchestration is what will make AI scale. So instead of playing just one instrument, you are going to coordinate the entire symphony. So you are going to make your creative team play together with your media team, with your SEO team, and they all will play an amazing music together. So focus on orchestration.
Yeah, really good takeaways. So that brings us to the end of Making Sense of AI-Powered Creatives. Again, thank you so much, both of you, for coming back to the show and giving us your insights from last time being PMAX to now AI creatives. And yeah, we've been on quite a journey in the last year. But to conclude, AI is fundamentally reshaping the way that we do marketing today, whether it comes to your normal marketing strategies, your creatives, your normal ads. The whole ecosystem has changed. So the key takeaways are AI isn't here to replace you. It's here to enhance your strategy and save you time, essentially. And the success hinges on data. So you need to have a data-first approach, and you need to work with partners like us in Making Science, and also speak to your Google team to make sure that you have everything in order. But yeah, thank you all listeners for tuning in to this episode of Making Sense of AI-Powered Creatives, and we'll speak to you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.